it's week 5. I can't believe it. I'm gonna be really quick today because I am officially have a empty house. There's no more visitors. My mom, who stayed with us for a week, she has gone back to the States. And actually, my dad also came for a couple of days, and they just left the other day. So I need to stay on my ears open for when Lucas wakes up from his nap. I didn't mention this last week, I don't think, but I wanted to share an interesting kind of boundary or decision that was made in advance of my parents coming to visit, which was that I felt good and comfortable having my mom stay in my house because of A, the fact that she was open and willing to really help out, and B, just because of the spacing in my house, it felt okay to have one visitor stay in our guest room. And then when my dad came, actually, my mom moved in, and the two of them stayed in a hotel that was really close to our apartment. And my dad is the most amazing human being. I love him to death. However, he didn't facilitate a postpartum recovery for my mom. It's not something that's in his awareness. And I think when he came, it was more kind of for enjoyment. And so I really did feel like if he was staying in our house, A, our apartment is not that big, but B, I didn't want to feel like that intense pressure to host, which even came up with my mom, funnily enough. But so in advance, when they were booking their trip, I said, hey, here's some hotels in the area. I'd love to have you stay. And this is an important thing to keep in mind if you are receiving any visitors, whether it's for a day or for a whole month. It's not required that someone stays in your house. And setting boundaries around when or for how long, etc., that is totally fair game. And it's something that can be done in a really loving conversation. It doesn't require any drama and stress per se, although again, easier said than done. Explaining that during this postpartum time, it's important to kind of have a little bit of a nest space, or something that's very appropriate and timely given COVID, explaining that for the kind of health and safety of a newborn who basically has no immune system, keeping visitors a little bit at arm's distance or having them stay elsewhere is totally appropriate. So whether it's, one reason or another, really thinking in advance, do I feel safe having this person stay in my house or these people? Am I going to feel pressure to host or feel an extra burden or an extra workload as a result of it? Those can really inform whether it feels right or good, whether it's socially appropriate or whether there's pressure from the friend or relative or person or not. So that being said, today I wanted to bring up a different topic that is really coming up for me this week, which is this feeling of, oh my gosh, this 40-day time period is coming to an end really soon. I'm nearing the last weeks, the last days of this kind of initial postpartum bubble, and I just can't believe it, how quickly time flies. It's funny, as I have my own business, so as an entrepreneur, I can't imagine, 6 weeks of total kind of off time seemed like a really long time before it actually has come to be. And now that I'm here at week 5, it's like, whoa, this is such a short chapter. So I'm feeling a lot of gratitude that I really have stayed committed to carving out this time. And at the same time, I'm realizing that every single day really does count and does matter. And I'm finding myself more and more feeling so much appreciation for how much Lucas has grown during this time, for how much my body has shifted and has been in recovery during this time. And I found myself doing what my former coach taught me, which is these breastfeeding meditations, where whenever I go to feed Lucas, I'm looking down at him and lovingly gazing into his eyes and being super present. I'm feeling pretty emotional about it actually, which is normal and it's good. So this week I've had kind of my own space back, now being free from any other outside family or visitors, and have been spending way more time with Lucas again now that we're on our own, kind of the little initial family unit. And I find myself being in a lot of appreciation for this time as it is. Using that as a frame of reference, it makes it really easy to commit so fully to taking the nap or doing the meditation or saying no to the invitation to go out, because it's like, this is a blink, a snap, such a short period of time. 40 days really does go by so quickly. This week, I also have a couple more minutes, so I'm gonna just keep talking. This week, I feel so thankful. I've been trying new kind of postpartum dishes. I have an amazing friends that have brought over some kind of Spanish rice dishes, and our amazing housekeeper, her husband, made a Venezuelan soup for us. So we've had like a lot of different foods that I'm not used to having, and they are so delicious. And I'm also noticing that my taste buds are changing a bit. So now I'm starting to want more raw or cold things. Whereas in the first few weeks, I was like, the thought of a salad just seemed so unappealing. Yesterday, Warren was, he was making me some chicken soup, and he was like, oh, do you want anything else? And yeah, it was the first day that I was like, yeah, I could go for something cold. And traditionally, in the mother-centered cultures that I've studied in postpartum recovery, anything cold or raw is strictly prohibited. And that's like a global thing. From South America all the way over to Asia, foods that are cold in temperature or in property or an element are really discouraged for the new mom. And that's a sharp contrast to what in the States is super common. A woman gives birth and she wants to maybe, drink green juice or have a salad or whatever, and that's not the case in the traditional cultures that I've looked at or the practices that I've looked at. So I kind of find that interesting, and maybe my body senses that this time is coming to an end of sorts. And then in terms of kind of completing the 40 days, looking ahead, I'm starting to plan and coordinate two things. So one, with my postpartum or my birth doula, who's now been a bit of a postpartum support, I'm going to have her come over and facilitate a closing the bones ceremony, which is a really beautiful traditional practice where I'll be kind of wrapped up in cloths for a period of time to signify the kind of completion of my window of having kind of open joints and everything being more open and exposed. And then I'm also going to do just by myself, I will be doing a kind of mini ceremony of sorts where I'm going to be burying my placenta, which has been in our freezer for the past few weeks. And this one I'm really excited about because it is, the burying of the placenta is from many traditions that I've looked at. And one in particular I'll share with you is a bit of a quick story. There are a number of different, in the US, in several different tribes and Native American tradition, the family or the father will take the placenta and they'll bury it under a tree on their land. And it's to signify a reminder that the child will always remember where they come from and their heritage and their family and community. And something about learning about that tradition really struck me. And I feel like, given that we probably won't live in Spain for the long term, but given that Lucas was born here and we completed the pregnancy here, I'm going to bury my placenta here as a reminder of where he was born. So I'm excited about that. And I bought a lemon tree that I will be burying my placenta underneath. I'm gonna repot it. Yeah, okay. Well, that's all for now. I just got almost 10 minutes of time. That's wonderful. And I look forward to checking in next week for kind of the final week of the early postpartum recovery. And thank you for tuning in, and have a wonderful day.